Awesome. Thanks so much, Alex. I'm really excited to put together today's webinar with our Amazon partners. We got a lot of great content to go through, and I think stuff's going to be pretty insightful for all the brands that joined here today. So what I really want to do is I want to start by walking through the customer journey for how brands are acquiring new to brand customers. And I'm going to go through a journey that I just recently went through myself as a consumer. I find it fascinating to be a consumer, knowing the ins and outs of how brands and marketers are engaging me and kind of what the touch points are. So I'm going to walk through what that journey looked like for me. Then we're going to break down exactly how that brand, what levers and tools they use to engage me. Then we're going to go through exactly how you can do it yourself and replicate it yourself, as well as some potential ways that I think that the brand could improve the customer journey. So starting off here, I recently found out about all the rage these days is the healthy soda pop. A few different brands out there, but a colleague recently mentioned this one in particular, Olipop. If you haven't heard about this, it's the healthy soda pop now, and I actually quite liked it. So a colleague mentioned it to me a couple weeks ago, and I kind of became aware. That was my trigger event in understanding that this is an option out there. Of course, the day after that the colleague mentioned it to me, I started seeing the brand everywhere. I saw an Instagram ad that kind of got me thinking about it, kind of pushed me further through kind of the funnel, kind of making me consider maybe I do want to try this. Maybe I do want to go get a packet at the store. Then I decided, all right, let's see what the pricing is. So I went to Google to kind of consider my options and learn more, try to understand, is this actually a healthy drink or is it just marketing and whatnot? And I searched on Google healthy soda pop right here and had a bunch of articles for me to go through during my consideration, my research phase of my journey. And I ended up clicking on the first one here under the 9 healthiest sodas and carbonated beverages. Like most consumers, I click the first thing that I see on Google. So I landed here. That ended up being probably an affiliate website to where they gave me a few different options, and number one was Olipop. So I clicked on the Olipop, most likely affiliate link, and that brought me to Olipop's website, where I got to get a little bit more familiar with the brand, kind of understand what the price point was, and I was pretty close to buying. But unfortunately, there's that $3.99 delivery fee, and I'm like a lot of customers hate paying delivery fees, especially when I've got Amazon. So I immediately said, hey, you know what? I bet this is sold on Amazon. So I headed over to Amazon, searched for Olipop in the search bar, and found what I was looking for over here. Obviously, some sponsored ads as well, but I knew what I was looking for. So I came over to Olipop, got to the PDP page, understood what the pricing was, free shipping this time, and I was pretty close to purchasing. But I decided, you know what? I don't really need this. So I kind of moved on. I exited out and I just wasn't quite ready to purchase yet. So moved on with my life, left Amazon and whatnot. Later, I was going to go to a movie. So I was on IMDb, and sure enough, I saw it again. I saw Olipop down here, this time off Amazon in a DSP ad. As I'm just scrolling through, kind of picking out what movie I want to go to, they're present, right? And it kind of got me thinking, hey, you know what? I was pretty close to purchasing that. I do really want to try that. So I clicked in on that DSP ad and I came back. But still, I wasn't quite ready to purchase. Like, do I really need more soda? Even if it's healthy, do I really need it, right? So I ended up not purchasing. And I got distracted on Amazon by other stuff that I probably wanted to buy. So as I was shopping for other stuff, again, I noticed the ad. I was on a different PDP page this time, and I saw the ad again for Olipop, this time in a sponsored display ad. So now this brand's touched me multiple times through different advertising types. This last one being a sponsored display while I was on Amazon, just on a different product in a totally different category. Finally, I pulled the trigger. I clicked the ad, came back over, and immediately was defaulted for the subscribe and save, but I chose to do the one-time purchase and was pretty excited, right? And I think what's interesting here is just kind of walking through what that buying journey actually looks like. Multiple touch points to engage me as a consumer and to bring me in as a new to brand customer. Now, is it ideal for the brand to have to buy my clicks multiple times? Not ideal, but that's the reality of kind of the world and the marketing world that we live in. And they can afford to buy me multiple times because I'm a new to brand customer, because there's that lifetime value. Most likely, I'm going to get it, probably drink them within a week, and be back next week to buy more. And that next time, I probably am not going to have to go through the same buying journey. I'm probably just going to go straight to Amazon and purchase again. So just walking through that journey that we just walked through, that I personally did just last week, it started with a trigger event. In this case, for me, it was a colleague mentioning it, but oftentimes it's a TV or social ad. And now, of course, that I'm aware of the brand, I'm seeing their TV ads all the time now. Pushed me into a Google search to go into my consideration, start moving through the awareness phase. Got to the website, kind of browsed around, did my market research. Of course, like everyone, I ended up on Amazon, did my Amazon search, saw sponsored ads, ended up clicking, in my case, an organic one, but the sponsored ads were there and available, pushing the product up. If I had gone to Amazon, and instead of searching the brand, if I had searched just healthy soda pop, I most likely would have needed to click sponsored ad to get to the brand that I was looking for. Ended up getting to the PDP page. Storefronts are a great way as well. If they could improve that journey, it would have been if they could get me to their Amazon storefront page. More on that here in a minute. But then the retargeting. So as I'm in the consideration phase, that brand was very, very effective in keeping my attention, constantly staying in front of me through different touch points, sponsored display, retargeting, and they didn't have to use any brand tailored promotions or any other engagements through Amazon like that. Brand tailored promotions being the ability to provide a coupon for people that visit your page or add to cart and abandon, etc. They didn't have to use that. They were able to skip that phase of the journey as their retargeting was so effective. It pushed me right into my purchase. Now, after purchase, who knows what's going to happen? I'll let you know in a few weeks. But if I like the product, I may end up coming back, hitting that subscribe and save button. I'll let you know if I do. But then I'm sure I could not be more confident that this brand is going to stay in front of me. They know I'm a customer. They know I was new to brand, given some of the metrics that they're able to get. Now they're going to be able to retarget me and continue to stay in front of me, hoping that they can bring me back in and I can purchase another pack in a couple of weeks and continue on and so forth. So that ACoS, that return on ad spend, is not done. It's still developing because it's really a cost per acquisition. And hopefully they're going to keep me as a long-time happy customer now that my initial buying journey has been completed. So that's kind of a long journey. Now, what I want to kind of walk through today is, what if that path could be shorter? I got that trigger event. A colleague mentioned it. I went to Google. And by the time I went to Google and by the time I got to Amazon and actually purchased, was quite a long period. And the longer that period is, the more likely I'm not going to end up purchasing, or the more likely they're just going to have to keep buying my clicks over and over and over again. Now, what if this brand had gotten an ad at the top of Google? As I said, I clicked the first thing that I saw in Google. If I had searched healthy soda pop, and instead of getting these articles or going to DTC websites where I wasn't going to purchase because of the shipping costs and whatnot, what if this brand Olipop had put a sponsored ad on top of Google? The ad would look exactly like this. It would say Amazon.com. They could put their brand name in, Olipop healthy soda, exactly what I was searching for up here. And then the ad would say whatever they wanted to say, but it should probably say what I'm searching for, Olipop healthy soda, free shipping on Amazon, and then any more details that help me want to buy the product. Now, if this experience had happened, it would have been a lot quicker, a lot shorter path to conversion. I would have searched healthy soda pop, clicked the first thing I saw, realized I could buy it on Amazon, realized there's free shipping, and potentially I would have just bought right then. Maybe I hadn't, but that would have closed the loop. That would have taken off like 3 or 4 steps in my buying journey, significantly improving the customer shopping experience, but also improving the chance that I do end up converting. Because the longer it takes for me to convert, the more likely they are to lose me as a new to brand customer. So that's what this is. And that's what we really want to dive into today is how can brands actually implement ways to effectively shorten that loop? I think this graphic here is a really, really good example of what a customer buying journey looks like in a little bit simpler form. We have our trigger up here, and then there's this infinite loop of exploration and evaluation. And consumers get stuck in here. There's so many options, right? And they can just get stuck in here until they end up just dropping out and forgetting that they ever wanted anything, or just too many options to make a decision, right? Now, if you could draw a straight line through here from that trigger to that purchase, say with an ad like this, they ask for it, you give it to them where at their point of conversion, which quite often is Amazon. All of a sudden, you can cut out all this extra kind of fluff here on the left and right side. And when I say fluff, it's all good stuff. It's brand building, it's brand awareness, but it's risky. The longer people are stuck in this infinite loop, the more likely you are to lose them. So that's a real life example of my journey as a customer. I want to walk you through a case study now of an Amped customer, Freshfield, who actually implements these strategies themselves. So Freshfield here's the case study. If you guys are interested in reading this in more depth, just reach out to us afterwards, info@amped.io. We can send it to you. It's also on our website. But this is full funnel marketing. And what this case study walks through is how the brand was able to fill the funnel by engaging customers on and off Amazon, bring them into the funnel. Hopefully they convert right away, but if they don't convert right away, they're retargeting with DSP to stay top of mind, exactly as that Olipop brand was doing. Then they're able to nurture leads with abandoned cart discounts using brand tailored promotions, where they're able to, anytime someone comes in, hits add to cart, but doesn't purchase, they're able to follow up and provide a coupon 10, 15% off to say, hey, we know you liked our product. Here's a little something to get over the top. Thinking about it through a lifetime value, Freshfield, they sell supplements, and they know that if they can get a customer in, that customer is going to buy 2 to 3 times per year on average. So all of a sudden that allows them to be much more aggressive in acquiring new customers, because they can go further, they can reach farther with their marketing budget, knowing that that first purchase is probably not going to be profitable, but the second, third, fourth, that's when they really get profitable. That's how they're able to grow while still remaining profitable long term. And then nurturing customers. The most important part, especially when you have consumer packaged goods or anything like that, where there's that repeat purchase rate, you need to be able to stay top of mind. You need to be able to create that brand loyalty. And that's exactly what Freshfield does with, again, leveraging brand tailored promotions as well as their website. Jumping over here, the way that Freshfield can engage with their brands, here's one of their products, is they can send their traffic to their Amazon storefront. And their Amazon storefront is built out much like a D2C website, to where they're able to highlight their brand, create brand awareness, create that brand loyalty, but also make sure that the landing page is transactional and has everything a consumer needs. So storefronts, I kind of alluded to it earlier, to where Olipop they got me to the PDP page. If they'd gotten me to their Amazon storefront that was transactional, that would have been the best of both worlds, because I'd be able to engage with the brand, but also be able to immediately and quickly add this to cart. Maybe I don't add it to cart. Now I'm scrolling down, I'm learning more about the brand, learning more about why this product is so good. So storefronts are an incredible way to kind of combine what you would do on your D2C site, which is brand awareness and brand education, with the benefits of Amazon and how transactional and whatnot, and how much consumers trust the Amazon marketplace. So this is a great case study, kind of walking through what this looks like. Those are the levers and the mechanisms to engage your brands, but then looking at the results. Here you can see, this is a screenshot from the AMP platform. The black line is total revenue. So you can see increasing in total revenue as they're engaging full funnel marketing and using all the DSP and brand tailored promotions and all these levers that Ivy's about to share here more details on. Green line is your revenue from organic sales. Yellow line is revenue from Amazon ads. And you can see that kind of went up here, but really the most important thing is it stayed pretty steady. You have to be investing in Amazon ads. It's the point of sale. It's where customers are ready, willing, and able to buy. So the important to keep that as steady as possible. And then layering in the red line down here, which is Google Ads, engaging customers from off of Amazon, bringing them into your storefronts, into your PDP pages to convert them over time. And then also keeping an eye on tacos. Tacos is obviously a very important metric, total revenue over cost of sale. And here you can see Amped also charts that as well, incorporating both Google Ads and Amazon Ads cost over time into revenue. So you can see they're getting more efficient as they're spending more on ads. They're spinning that retail flywheel and getting more organic sales, as you can see here, which is bringing their overall efficiency and improving their overall efficiency. So if you guys are interested in this case study, just give us a shout at info@amped.io, and we're more than happy to send it over, or just head over to our website and go to our case studies page. So how did these brands do this? How did Freshfield do it with Google Ads? How does Olipop do it with sponsored display and DSP and nurturing their customers long term? I'm going to go ahead and very briefly walk you through the Google Ads side of it with attribution. And then I'm going to hand it over to Ivy for the Amazon mechanisms that you can use to engage your customers. So starting with Google Ads, it's super important if you're going to be leveraging Google Ads is you need to use a software solution to connect the dots, to connect Google and Amazon data together. And the way you do this is through leveraging solutions like Amped, which partners with Amazon, leveraging an Amazon program called Amazon Attribution. So some of the features within the Amped platform is we have Amped Create, which is within our platform, and it's a guided way to build a very strong Google ad and automatically apply Amazon attribution at both a campaign level and a keyword level. So you can, in about 30 seconds, launch a very productive ad, a very strong ad, and also have all the attribution that you need to understand what keywords work, what keywords don't, so you can cut the fat and double down and scale on what's working. On top of Amped Create, Freshfield and other brands use Amped Protect. Amped Protect is constantly analyzing the performance of that campaign and automatically cutting out the underperforming keywords so you can push more budget into the top performing keywords. So instead of having to log into your account every single day and see what's working and what isn't, you let Amped Protect run constantly in the background and automatically moving the budget into the top performing keywords. And then last, but certainly not least, Amped Predictive Bidding. If you're familiar with Google Ads, they have what's called TROAS, or Maximize for Conversion bidding algorithms. And what those bidding algorithms do is they leverage a lot of data to maximize the bids on your campaigns and your keywords to try to make them more efficient based on conversions. Now, you can't put Amazon data into Google, so you can't leverage TROAS or Maximize for Conversions if you're sending traffic to Amazon. And that's where Amped's predictive bidding comes in. We bring Google data into our platform, we bring Amazon data into our platform, and we run our own bidding that's called Amped Predictive Bidding that's using confidence intervals and data science to constantly be adjusting the bids to try to get the maximum for efficiency. And it gives you the option to either be more aggressive for revenue and customer acquisition, or you slide the bar to the left and it kind of tightens things up, tightens the net, and tries to drive towards overall efficiency. So I'm not going to get into all these details today. If you're interested in more of the functionality within the Amped software, just reach out to us and we can definitely go into the details. But last thing I'm going to say on Amped here is this is what the Amped platform looks like, to where you launch your campaign, takes about 30 seconds to create a really strong campaign because Amped's doing most of the work. You have your campaign here, and we're bringing in your Google data, impressions, clicks, cost at a campaign level, and marrying it together with your Amazon data, carts, cart rate, conversion rate, and your ACoS. If you are a 3P brand, you also get what's called you can get what's called a brand referral bonus, which is up to, on average, 10% kickback on the revenue produced from the campaigns that are run with attribution attached to them. In this case, this brand did not get the brand referral bonus, but if they did, they'd get that 10% of the 683 from this time period. That's at a campaign level. All the data sits together, but then more importantly, individual keywords to understand exactly which keywords are driving the value, driving the efficiency, and which ones aren't. In this case, you got one keyword at 16%. ACOS, another keyword at 119%. It's very low data because it's a short time window and low budgets. But if you really wanted to, you could cut this keyword away, push more budget into this top keyword to really scale out a campaign like this. So that's what the AMP platform does to allow brands to engage with consumers as they go through Google. If we go back to that Olipop example, I went to Google to do my research. If Olipop had been using AMP, they could have put an ad right at the top of Google, immediately grabbed me, immediately sent me to that point of conversion, which would be Amazon. And then they'd be able to use AMP to see if I was converting or if I was not converting on those keywords. So that's part one of how they did it here. Just kind of checking it off with my green box here. I'm going to go ahead and unshare my screen and invite Ivy to go ahead and share his screen and walk through the mechanisms on Amazon that brands like Olipop and Freshfield are using to engage their customers throughout their buying journey.
Perfect. Thank you, Tyler. Well, I was having some video issues earlier. Let me see if I could get my face here on video. I see I have a light on
There
my
we go.
computer, so I'm assuming
Yep.
everybody can see me.
We see you now.
Perfect. Again, I do apologize for that. But thanks again, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here this morning or afternoon for depending on where everybody's located. But as Alex mentioned earlier, my name is Ivy Lee. I'm a senior partner development manager here within Amazon Ads. And today I want to talk to you in tandem with what Tyler was just mentioning in the shopper journey. So whether you have business objectives in terms of like increasing long-term sales, or you're trying to drive repeat purchases, convert missed sales, drive brand loyalty, or looking to really optimize and get the most out of your ROAS. What I want to talk about is how does sponsored display coincide with what Amped and Tyler was just mentioning. So, make sure I'm transitioning slides here. So, okay, so one thing, the graphic earlier was the shopper journey, right? Like you sit somewhere, you see an ad, let's just you're watching Prime Video and you see an ad come up, right? Like you see something come up there and you're late at night, right? Like you're watching whatever, might be the new Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and you don't engage at that very moment, right? Like you go do some research, you kind of go through this whole interesting path for a while, kind of how he was navigating through, and you end up at a point where you ended up in that infinite loop that he had described. So really the design of sponsored display that I want to talk, one of the features of it is how to meet shoppers where they're at, right? Like how do you engage with that audience, and about how do you drive the for that product detail page. Then the last thing is how do you re-engage the audience, right? Like landed on the detail page, but I didn't make a choice as a consumer, right? Like something got in the way, right? Like kids were crying, you had to, put something away, you had to go do something, life happened. And the key thing is re-engaging at that moment. So meeting shoppers where they're at. So by the end of the session today, first, I'll talk to you about sponsored display and how it can complement your existing sponsored ad strategy and then your broader strategy as a whole to grow engagement on Amazon. Second, I want to talk through how do you use tactics to help drive conversions and build out that loyalty. So as you're thinking about like campaign success, goals, I already mentioned, right? Like what are you working backwards from? And then lastly, what metrics should you be looking at, right? Like again, as I mentioned, are you looking to drive audience engagement towards your product detail page? The image that Tyler showed a moment ago around subscribe and save, or are you looking to drive a different type of transaction, right? Like you had somebody that purchased one time and then you just want to go back to them again. So why use sponsored display? So before we get into recommended tactics, I want to make sure you have some actionable strategies and insights on what it looks like when you first launch a sponsored display campaign, things out of the way, and take a look at where sponsored display and why you want to use it. So first thing, for those of you that are looking at the shopper rate, right? Like 74% of sales from new to brand customers, right? So advertisers who use sponsored display are seeing a 74% of ad attributed sales driven from new to brand. So sponsored display has the ability to not only reach new shoppers, but if you think about, again, that infinite loop, right? How many are there that are they're in a moment where they're stuck in between decisioning, right? Like, I have product A, B, or C. Which one do I choose from? And again, I'm new to brand. I've never used this product before. There's energy drinks, right? Like there's for myself, I like certain things like kombuchas and stuff like that. So when it comes down to trying something new, I might get a little hesitant. And then I also, in terms of like, would this be something my wife would like? Maybe not. So when I bring in a new brand for her, she's also part of that new to brand. So again, 74% looking at how does a display drive that new to brand. So just again, laying some frameworks around display versus sponsored products, making sure like we have a breakout between the two. So one, sponsored products, just for those who are aware, keywords, product targeting, right? Like in category. Sponsored display, on the other hand, has that overlap between products and categories, but then also has the ability to look at audience segments and then as well based on views and repurchases, which is, if you have not kind of caught on to the message I'm saying, the loop, right? Like, how do you go back and ensure that you're getting the most from that infinite loop? So, sponsored display, we'll start with a quick review of on Amazon placements, which are ads that run on Amazon store homepage, on product detail pages, alongside customer reviews, on shopping results pages, or under the feature offer. That gives an opportunity to accelerate product awareness, increase conversion, and complete the sale by connecting to those Amazon shoppers. So depending on the ad size, your ad creative may include product image or video, description, star rating, right? Like you also have the opportunity to have price and prime badging on there, which are all elements you can see here on the screen for organic, the product that's there. Giving that look, feel, that the familiarity that shoppers are used to. It also may include the Shop Now button, depending on your ad placement. Like so, the Shop Now is an ability to drive right back into that product detail page for shoppers to, if they haven't finished reading or if they haven't had the opportunity to really dive into your product detail page, this will re-engage them again. Oh, skip the slide there. Let me hop back. So that's the on-site. The off-site would be sponsored display has the ability to go for off placements of Amazon. So you're getting added visibility of your product and you're meeting shoppers where they're at. As I mentioned earlier, how do you go to where they're at based off of what their behaviors? So your ad, your creative, including the logo, product image, star rating, and shop now button, very similar to what I was just saying. Amazon will still generate your ad at a campaign launch. And the key thing that we want to do is take some light lifting, right? Like giving you the ability to think the ad's going to have a familiarity to it. And then you can focus on, then we think about the placement. So the difference that you're going to see with the off Amazon ads, that the ads appear on apps, third-party websites, and Twitch, which help you re-engage those shoppers in their purchase. And backing up just for a second in terms of the Twitch placement, if you think about a way to reach a unique shopper focused that primarily is a Gen Z or various types of attributes from like gaming, it's a way to really engage and re-engage with them in a place where they have familiarity. So there's opportunity as we think about like Amazon and how off placement can help drive the reach to new audiences, and then as well getting that relevant category Amazon. But again, key thing is re-engaging into that infinite loop. So as Tyler, again, I like that image, as you have that infinite loop that's going on, your brand, how do you jump back into that loop to get the best out of your ad campaign? So understanding a few more of the strategies. So I'll start talk through a few different ones here. So one, contextual targeting. You can choose categories and individual products to target your ads against by using targeting options. You can promote your product with customers browsing relevant categories. This helps you engage a wider set of potential customers. You can also refine your category further by brand, price, ratings, or shipping status. Or you can target individual products. If you're looking to cross-sell contextual targeting, you can help promote your product with customers browsing on your product or similar products on Amazon. When you target individual products with contextual targeting, your ads show on product detail pages on and off Amazon. So say I have an organic skincare brand, right? To advertise one of my top cleansers to a wide audience browsing, similar sections. So I can include categories like skincare products or facial skincare products, right? So I have two types of targets that I'm going after, or maybe I want to help shoppers who are browsing my hair care products know that, hey, we've got this really great, well-rated cleanser. You might also be interested in this case, I can target my own skincare, hair care items, skincare items, so my ad can appear on those product detail pages. With views remarketing, you can reach audiences who visited your product detail pages, the detail page of similar products or relevant category on Amazon, but haven't made a purchase yet. So again, this is the interjection of that infinite loop. With purchases remarketing, you can help encourage repeat purchases. So to Tyler's, I would say his roadmap in terms of the shopping journey. And then when he clicked over to that page, show product detail page, he selected, I want to make a one-time purchase. This is the ability to go back and look at purchases and say, okay, how do I encourage repeat purchases to build out my customer loyalty? I think about the skit. There's this gentleman here. He has uh, some form of skincare routine going on. I know for myself, it's not so much myself that's buying skincare, but I can definitely tell you that my wife has brought things that I actively have become a loyal customer to. Even so, to where if I'm shopping or anything like that, I would just go back into my cart and just look what she bought and just see when's the next time it's either going to come because it's on subscribe and save. And then there has been times where I haven't seen it on subscribe and save, and I ended up being the one that put it on subscribe and save because I'm the one that liked it. Even though she was really the new to brand customer, I ended up being a customer by proxy in that scenario. So if you think about like audiences, uh, my the audience can vary right between the two. So um, our ability to reach thousands of pre-built audience segments is comprised of various types, right? Like we have the in market, we have lifestyle, we have interest, life events. I don't know where I kind of sit within that last description as I think about it out loud. Maybe I'm in lifestyle, maybe I'm in interest, maybe I'm kind of blended between the a few different segments there. But the opportunity is you have the ability to go out, find that audience, and then being able to retarget against purchases. So going back to that, my example, since you're focused on achieving a certain business goal, increasing, let's just say conversions or building loyalty, like to myself, where I became brand loyal to something through a different means. I, as I mentioned, you can use audience to advertise, let's just say top rated cleanser uh, for those that have, let's just say a signature for cleanser in the last 14 days. I can also run a campaign that focuses on past customers. If I know that my customers tend to run out of a cleanser, right? Like in the last 60 days, and in my case, I want to say I think we got it dialed into about somewhere between 25 and 35 days is how long it lasts between myself and my wife. Um, we will go back and take a look and see, okay, how do we either go after the frequency of that rate, or maybe they need to look at and say, okay, uh, they need to purchase more, right? Like if, or they maybe need to augment a little bit. So the key thing is looking at that retargeting and going back to that window of 60 days. So oh, I don't think slide transition. There we go. Now, before we move on, I want you to pause for a moment and think about how you currently are retargeting or going after that target audience. You got to ask yourself, like, am I putting myself in a position to really re-engage with that infinite loop? Am I putting myself in a position, and is my product going to be able to stand out when a shopper is bouncing between a few different options? As you can see, our product has a wide range of customers and audience to target multiple products categories via sponsored relay is beneficial to us. This came from Daniel at No Cry Safety Gear. So we recommend using a custom creative when possible. So as you think about your ability to really understand, like, how do you engage that customer, meeting them where they're at, but also giving them that unique opportunity. So this is going to be US only. This is going to be advertisers selling in the US who use sponsored display, branded creative, see a 13.6 higher ROAS, 31.7% higher conversion rate, and then 18.4% more new to brand sales compared to those who uses a auto-generated creative. So again, making it very familiar for your advertiser, for your shoppers. So next, before I move on to our campaign, as you think about, and I know it says use a chat box to ensure you're putting in some questions and answers, and Tyler will come on here towards the end, be able to talk through some of those. So I want to make sure we're not missing out on the opportunity for sales right now, right? Like, as we have the ability to drive brand, we have the ability to look at things. So here's two campaign examples. So let's look at our second campaign example here. I'm sorry, our first campaign example here. Here we have a goal of converting missed sales using views remarketing, which is an audience's strategy. Remember, the views remarketing you can advertise your products to customers who have viewed your advertised products. So again, they got to your product detail page, but they didn't convert. And this can happen quite often, right? Like, especially if you think about the look back window that you want to specify. We'll get into look back windows at later on, or we could follow up as offline talking about what do those look back windows look like. But again, you're looking to convert missed sales. The key things that you're going to be looking at in this area. So you promoted a product, right? You have the ability to go on Amazon, the middle image, and then you have the ability to go off Amazon. And as you can see, that off Amazon ad, it still gives that familiar look and feel for a shopper. So now we have looking at driving a repeat purchase, right? Like, so as we think about promoting our best selling product, so you have a certain facial cleaner, you have a certain hair care, or whatever that product really looks like, we want to make sure that you have the ability to promote it. And then as we think about purchases that happened but not within the last 30 days, again, how do you re-engage with them with certain things and get them to a point where you have this end state, right? Like, your end state may be subscribe and save in this scenario. How do you get your customers to think in terms of, like, this product, I love it, and then now I just need to kind of keep it on its Kate. And then as you think about that infinite loop, now it's you saying, I went into the infinite loop and I pulled a customer out of that infinite loop, and I'm the product of choice for them. So again, the aim would be to run a purchases remarketing campaign. So look back window. Now, a little about the thing I mentioned out earlier. Again, I mentioned that Tyler also will be ability to talk through this. So purchases remarketing or views remarketing, you're able to engage audiences based on a historical purchase behaviors during a specific window of time. You could pick a look back window between 7 days or in 1 year, right? Like, you could look back, just making sure you have an understanding. So we recommend setting look back windows that make sense for your advertised products, right? Like, think about that product life cycle. Think about, like, what's the frequency rate, right? Like, I know for myself, there's certain things that I purchase pretty regularly. I have 3 daughters, and hair care product is something that, yeah, I look at once every 2-ish weeks. They have a lot of hair, so I want to ensure, like, we have a certain look back window in my example. Now, it depends on household, it depends on type of customers, but again, that's the ability of finding that right audience that you can remarket against. So key metrics to monitor. So we have orders, sales, conversion rate, ROAS, right? So as you think about time, figuring out really what matters to you and figuring out like what are you benchmarking against. So let's just say on the ROAS, which helps you very important metric, right? Like I'm not gonna shy away and say that ROAS is something we always don't want to look at, but we also have to look at like, okay, what's my ROAS? What's my orders? What's my sales? What's my conversion rate? We have to take a holistic look at that campaign just to get an idea of what am I really driving against? And again, um, internally, right, as an Amazonian, we like to think about like what's our working backwards plan? Like where are we working backwards from over what time period? And then did we benchmark to success, right? Like did we benchmark what the original goal was? And then looking at like how do we augment, adjust, and incrementally gain through this type of so we've taken a look at a few different examples on how uh, one campaign, right? Like looking at contextual targeting, focusing on your products. And then we looked at the other campaign in terms of shoppers who have not yet made a purchase. As you map these two into Tyler's, again, I keep going back to like his loop and then as well as his journey, sponsored display has an ability to really help drive a both ends, right? Like we can look at the loyalty and then as well we can look at how to re-engage. Re-engaging is again, you've already looked at this ad campaign, the shopper's already there. Now it's just how do I pull them out, right? Like and then figuring out what does that end state look like for your business. Again, what's long-term play? What are you working backwards from long words? And then working backwards and figuring out how to sponsor display help with that. Off that note, I'm going to turn it back over to Tyler. I'm going to say he's going to talk a little bit further about this infinite loop. I keep mentioning it and how does sponsor display interject with it. Tyler, I will stop sharing and let you ring here.
Good. Hopefully you can see my screen again. Yeah, Ivy, really appreciate going through that and kind of all the mechanisms to engage customers throughout. I think one of the things that you mentioned is, how do you engage more customers throughout their journey? And one of the stuff, there's some of the stuff that you're talking about there is retargeting bottom of the funnel customers, people that were close to purchasing, but didn't quite end up pulling the trigger. Getting it back in front of them, getting them back to that point of sale is so important. And I think, it is important to acknowledge what you said, right? Is ACoS and return on ad spend definitely matters, right? In an ideal world, we would pay one time for a customer, right? Like one click and they find your product and they buy it. But unfortunately, it's just not how so many consumers buy. If you're just looking for those one click purchase sales, you're going to be very limited in your reach. You're going to be very limited in your growth. But if you can extend, if you can engage customers multiple times as they go through their journey and get them as they're going through their exploration evaluation, pull them out of that loop, that's when you can really get a lot of growth. And especially when you have repeat purchase rates and you have the ability to nurture customers, that's when there's a lot of growth opportunities with all the levers and mechanisms that Amazon is now providing. One of the things, I know we're kind of coming up on time here, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it before we wrap up, but engaging customers after they've purchased. So there's definitely retargeting, as Ivy was talking about, but brand tailored promotions is an incredible way to stay in touch with those customers. There's ways to re-engage them with coupons that are for your most loyal customers. You can segment using brand tailored promotions through like high value customers, previously purchased customers. There's different segmentations within that. If you're not using those, definitely check those out, because once you get that first sale, unfortunately, you can't just rely on them to come back and buy again. Everything you can do to bring them back and whatnot is going to be so important. As Ivy mentioned with some of his examples, subscribe and save is a great way. And I think there's a lot of kind of hidden ways that Amazon has built into the marketplace to try to bring customers back. Ivy mentioned kind of he gets a product bought for him, then he goes back in and flips on the subscribe and save. For myself, I buy products and then a couple weeks later, a couple months later, I'll just start searching for that product again. And then Amazon does such an awesome job of filling in the search results with, like, you start typing into the search bar and it pops down, says previously bought on November 15th or whatever. I've used that so many times. I'm not a subscribe and save person myself, because I just try to stay away from those. But a lot of my friends are, obviously, but I do that all the time. When I need it, I start searching it, see that I bought it previously a couple months ago, hit it, add to cart, and purchase. So there's a lot of great ways that Amazon's built in for consumers to find your products again, but that's not enough. Everything that you can do to stay in front of them, to build that customer loyalty, to build that brand loyalty is going to be so important for that lifetime value. Great. So, we went through a lot today. The multiple touch points throughout the buying journey, how to re-engage customers and get them back to where they were. That's kind of the theme, I think, of today's call. Is you get someone to that point of sale, they leave. How do you get them back to that point of sale? And of course, constantly thinking about how you can build that brand awareness, build that loyalty. If you're not leveraging your Amazon storefront, I can't recommend that enough, because that's where you can really spend time to get that brand engagement. So whether it's through external traffic going in, sending it straight to an Amazon storefront that's transactional, whether it's sponsored brand ads to get them there, it's so important to make sure that brands are not just buying your products, but engaging with your brand. So put the time into your storefronts and make sure you're getting traffic to your storefronts. It's not a if you build it, they will come situation. Build it, create that great experience, and then make sure you're pushing traffic to that storefront to create that loyalty and long-term awareness. So that wraps us up for today. I've got a few questions that were coming in throughout the call here that I'll answer. But in case I forget, or if you have any questions, feel free to reach us at info@amped.io. If you have any questions coming out of this, if you want access to the recording, shoot us an email and we can send it your way after this call. And if you're going to be at any conferences coming up, I know we're getting into conference season here. I myself will be at several of these coming up. Prosper, which is just next week, we'll have a booth there. So if you're going to be down in Vegas for Prosper, would love to hear from you. Swing by our booth, schedule a call, a time to meet with us as well. Email us at info@amp.io, and we can make sure we set aside some time to meet with you personally. We'll also be at Shop Talk a little bit later, and then Expo West is another conference that we're planning to attend. So if you're going to be at any of those, please reach out to us. Let us know you're going to be there. Now, I have time for just a few questions here as we wrap up. First question is, how do you get conversion data from Amazon? Yeah, so that's through the Amazon Attribution Partnership, and Ivy and his team on the Amazon side, they're able to give us access to Amazon Attribution, which our software is able to deploy across your Google campaigns to make sure that when someone clicks your ad, if they add it to cart, if they convert on Amazon, our software is able to bring it all together within our platform. So we're getting that through a partnership with Amazon, and specifically through Amazon Attribution. You talked about Google a lot. Does this attribution work with other external channels? Yes, it does. You can use attribution on multiple external channels. We focus right now on Google because it's we basically are able to piggyback off the high intent searches of Google. So people are going specifically to Google and asking for stuff that they're interested in. And if they're asking for your product, you probably want to show up and engage them, right? We don't do other channels right now with our software, but you can use Amazon Attribution for Meta, TikTok, Instagram, anywhere else. Those channels, in our view, just have different objectives. If the target is more bottom of the funnel transactional, Google is going to be as bottom of the funnel off Amazon as possible. When I think about it, Amazon ads is bottom of the funnel, Google's middle of the funnel, and then social channels are higher up the funnel because customers aren't specifically asking for that product yet. You're pushing that billboard in front of them. That's not to say that those channels can't be effective. They can be very, very effective for the right products. It's just a different objective when you engage customers at different stages of their journey. Couple more questions here, then we'll wrap up. Do you have any suggestions? This one's from Veronica. Do you have any suggestions for gaining visibility over other Google ads that are already going to Amazon. Yeah, so if you search your product and you see an ad that says Amazon.com in it, yeah, it probably means your competition is probably already bidding on some of those keywords. The way that you can gain visibility over those is you build a better ad. So if you look at those ads and you see that they're kind of generic or they're not super well written or they're kind of broad, that's a great opportunity. The way Google works is only one ad per URL. So if you, Veronica, were to create an ad and send it to Amazon.com, you would not see two Amazon.com ads on there. The way you can beat your competition in those situations is just build a better ad. Our software is built specifically to build really high quality ads with high quality scores, high ad rank, etc. And we set up the ads, and our software helps you set up the ads in very specific ways. So usually, unless your competition is also using our software, we're able to do a pretty good job to replace those ads. So yeah, if you see your products, or if you see products showing up going to Amazon on keywords that are very relevant to yours, usually a pretty good sign. You should give it a try yourself and try to put a lot of effort into building a really good ad. Again, our software does that, so you don't need to spend hours doing it by any means, but instead of spending 30 seconds and putting an ad up, maybe spend 45 seconds to make sure it's really tight, really product specific, really good quality. That's going to help your ad score and help replace those ads. Last question here as we come up on time is, what conversion rates should we expect if we were to advertise on Google? Great question. It really depends on what product you're advertising. And a lot of the times it comes down to, first of all, it comes down to the quality of ad that you build and how targeted your keywords are. That's the most important thing. Secondary things are things like price points, right? And whether you're thinking about cost per acquisition or whether you're thinking about direct A cost. I have a lot of brands that have lower conversion rates because they're trying to cast a wider net, because that they know that second and third purchase is going to be profitable. So they're less focused on that first conversion. And when they're casting that wider net, that means that their conversion rates are going to be lower. I have other brands that are very focused on just dollar in, dollar out ACoS, and they want to have the highest conversion rate possible. So they put a lot of effort into getting the right keywords, making sure they're investing on the most transactional bottom of the funnel, bottom of the middle of the funnel type keywords. And then at the end of the day, too, pricing, right? So if you are selling $100 product, you shouldn't expect a 30 or 40% conversion rate, because the buyer journey is going to be longer, right? Someone's going to think a little bit longer before they make that purchase. If you're selling a $5 or $10 product, you can probably expect much higher conversion rates because it's just much more transactional. So unfortunately, I can't give you a direct answer on what the conversion rates to expect, because there's just so many variables that go into it. But if you build a good ad, if you're able to engage customers at the right time in their buying journey, you can get pretty darn good conversion rates. All right, so coming up on time here, Ivy, really appreciate you for joining us from the Amazon side. You guys are obviously great partners of ours, and really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Any closing thoughts on your side before we wrap up, Ivy?
I appreciate again everybody, and again, thank you to the AMP team for allowing me to come in and speak on such a great topic, right? Like, it's one of my favorites, as I mentioned, thinking about like how do we really get in, and sometimes like us as marketers, we think about like, oh, we have a business outcome, but we also forget we are also consumers. So like, in thinking about that profile, like, think about it when you leave, like, okay, where am I at? How am I stuck in between loop terms of consideration, and how do I get pulled out of it, really, right? Like, is it a price point? Is it something as a competitor offering? There's a lot of factors as to why. And then also the scenario I was telling about, like me being the consumer of something where I wasn't the new to brand customer. My wife was the new to brand customer. I just like really like what she brought into the house. Um, and I use it, right? Like I use it like daily, like even so to the much where she's like, stop using it. So um, we have a lot of scenarios like that.
Yep. Yep. Same here on my side. Awesome. Yeah. And just to kind of to tie it up with a bow here, how what you want to think through is when you get a customer to that point of purchase and they leave, which happens all the time, how do you get them back to where they were so you can close them and finish out that deal there? So hopefully the tools that Amazon's rolled out today or rolled out over the last couple of years and we talked about today can help you re-engage those customers, get them back in, get them back on their journey and completing that journey. And yeah, so Ivy, really appreciate taking the time today. Super, super insightful from my side. I know I will be sharing this recording with several of my brands that I work with, and hopefully it was helpful for everyone who joined today. Thanks so much for joining. Thanks, Ivy.